For years, MrBeast looked untouchable, the biggest creator on the internet, the clean image, the giant giveaways, the impossible challenges, the kind of success that made it feel like nothing attached to his name could fail. But outside the videos, a completely different pattern started forming. A mobile challenge that collapsed under technical problems, a burger empire that ended in lawsuits, a chocolate brand that immediately triggered backlash, a lunch product that turned into a public relations disaster before most people even tasted it, a $100 million game show that ended with contestants speaking to lawyers. And the strange part is this: none of these stories were big enough on their own to seriously damage him, because every time something happened, another upload arrived, another giveaway, another giant number, another headline big enough to pull attention somewhere else. That is why most people never stop to look at them together. But once you do, the pattern becomes hard to ignore, because when almost every major business under one name eventually creates controversy, people stop calling it bad luck. They start asking whether the machine itself is now moving faster than it can actually control what it builds. And that matters because MrBeast is no longer just a YouTuber. At this point, Jimmy Donaldson operates more like a corporation than a creator. Every launch is bigger. Every expansion moves faster. Every new product enters another industry. And corporations survive differently than creators do. Creators explain mistakes. Corporations absorb them and move forward. The problem is that audiences eventually notice when the same cycle keeps repeating. Launch, explode, crack, backlash, explanation, then move on. And right now, for the first time, those cracks are becoming visible enough that people are starting to watch the empire itself instead of just the success around it. Because behind the giant smile, the philanthropy branding, and the billion-view machine, almost every major business MrBeast has launched has run into the same invisible wall, scaling faster than control. The first warning sign came from something that looked harmless. A phone app. Simple concept, simple rules, massive hype. And at first it looked like another perfect MrBeast idea. One of the smartest things Jimmy understood early was that his audience didn't just want to watch challenges. They wanted to imagine winning them too. That is why his last-to-leave style videos always worked so well. The formula was simple. Keep contestants inside a small area. Keep a hand on an object. Wait until people break. The simplicity made viewers instantly imagine themselves surviving longer than everyone else. And eventually Jimmy realized something important. Why limit that feeling to contestants physically inside a video when millions of viewers already have phones in their hands? That became Finger on the App. The concept was absurdly simple. Download the app, put your finger on the screen, don't remove it. The last person remaining wins money. And because the idea was so simple, it exploded immediately. More than 1 million people joined the first challenge. For 3 straight days, people sat with fingers glued to screens, sleeping in shifts, streaming themselves online, trying to survive longer than strangers across the country. It became a national event almost overnight. And for a moment, it looked like MrBeast had done it again. He had taken something unbelievably basic and turned it into internet obsession. But even during that success, small cracks were already visible. Some contestants streaming their attempts became targets for trolls. Fake usernames flooded chats. People intentionally triggered Siri on iPhones by tricking players into saying phrases aloud. The second Siri activated, the app closed. Instant elimination. Hours lost in seconds. Even then, the first event still ended positively enough that most people ignored the warning signs. Until the second version arrived. Now the prize was $100,000. And one new feature changed the mood instantly. Players could buy extra lives. That single decision changed how every technical issue felt. Because once real money entered the system, glitches stopped feeling funny. Users reported random eliminations, lives disappearing, progress wiped out despite following instructions correctly, streams filled with frustration. Twitter exploded, app reviews collapsed. Refunds came later, but trust had already shifted. Because once players feel like they lost something they paid for, excitement becomes suspicion almost immediately. And the biggest detail is what happened next. Despite huge hype, Finger on the App never truly returned. Almost 5 years later, it still feels unfinished. Because it exposed something early. MrBeast could create huge attention instantly, but building stable systems at scale was harder than the hype itself suggested. And instead of slowing down after that lesson, the next move became much bigger. because now Jimmy wasn't launching software, he was launching food. MrBeast Burger looked brilliant at first, perfect timing. Delivery culture was exploding. Restaurants were struggling. Ghost kitchens were everywhere. And Jimmy attached his name to a restaurant chain almost overnight. The launch itself looked insane. Huge crowds, cars lined up for miles, police dealing with traffic. The video exploded, and suddenly MrBeast Burger looked like one of the smartest creator business launches anyone had ever seen. Hundreds of locations appeared quickly, then thousands, and for a while it looked revolutionary. No traditional restaurants, no expensive build-outs, just ghost kitchens fulfilling orders under one giant creator brand, millions of burgers sold, huge visibility, constant online attention. But the exact thing that made it scale so fast also created the weakness that would eventually damage it. Because ghost kitchens meant inconsistent quality. One customer received decent food, another got something barely recognizable. Some burgers arrived cold, some looked unfinished, and the worst examples involved undercooked meat. That changed the tone immediately. People were no longer laughing at ugly burgers. They were asking whether a giant creator brand should be attached to food this unreliable, because every kitchen now carried the MrBeast name, and every mistake carried his face. Eventually, even Jimmy publicly admitted he wanted distance from it. Then came lawsuits, then countersuits. What started as one of the most exciting creator launches online became lawyers, contracts, and reputational damage. And that revealed another pattern. Fast launch, huge scale, quality issues, backlash, then public distancing. The next product looked safer. Chocolate. Feastables looked like the clean reset. A product directly tied to his brand. A product fully controlled. Huge launch, huge giveaways, golden ticket energy. And again, it exploded. Millions of bars sold, shelves flooded, fans filming entire boxes. For a moment, it looked perfect, until the cracks returned. Packaging failed, bars shattered too easily, displays collapsed. Then Jimmy asked followers to clean up displays inside stores. What looked harmless to him became another controversy online. Because critics framed it as a millionaire asking children to do unpaid work. Again, a small issue became a bigger brand discussion. Then came taste complaints. A lot of buyers simply didn't enjoy the bars. The original formula leaned heavily on healthier branding, but many said flavor was disappointing. Eventually, formulas changed. Packaging improved. But now critics noticed another contradiction. The product was slowly moving away from the exact identity that made it different. And then, sourcing questions appeared. Website wording shifted. Ethical sourcing language changed. Again, explanations followed later, but only after speculation had already spread. By now, the pattern looked familiar. Every launch starts strong. Then something small breaks. Then the internet magnifies it. And the next example made that impossible to ignore. Lunchly. By the time Lunchly launched, MrBeast was no longer experimenting. This looked like full commercial infrastructure, a lunch product aimed directly at kids, and this time he launched it with Logan Paul and KSI. That decision changed public reaction immediately, because Lunchly stopped being about food and became about why MrBeast would attach a children's product to two deeply controversial internet figures. Criticism arrived before most people even touched the product. Then Dan TDM reacted publicly, and the debate exploded further. Old YouTube versus new YouTube. Creators versus corporations. Then memes took over. Then mold photos appeared inside unopened boxes. And once visible contamination began circulating, Lunchly became another PR problem almost immediately. One recall rumor became another controversy after Logan publicly confronted a store employee over signage. Again, the product itself became secondary. The brand drama became bigger than the actual food. Lunchly stayed on shelves, but promotion became strangely quiet soon after. And that silence mattered, because when promotion drops this quickly, it usually means the first wave did not land the way the brand expected. Then came Beast Games, and this changed everything because now the stakes were no longer product complaints. This was $100 million. A deal with Amazon, 10,000 contestants, $5 million on the line, and a project meant to prove that MrBeast could move beyond YouTube entirely. At first, the scale looked unbelievable. Huge venue, huge production, massive ambition, but almost immediately, contestants began describing something far less controlled behind the scenes. Food complaints, water complaints, medication issues, hospital visits, confusion during filming. And once contestants started speaking publicly, the story moved far beyond internet drama. Major reporting picked it up. Contract language spread online. Then lawsuits followed, and a class action lawsuit attached formal legal claims directly to the project. Now, this was no longer product criticism. This was legal pressure attached directly to one of the biggest productions under his name. And that is why Beast Games matters more than the earlier controversies, because it proved something important. Even when the scale becomes massive enough for mainstream entertainment, the same pattern still appears. Huge launch, huge attention, then cracks under pressure. What makes all of this fascinating is that none of these controversies by themselves destroyed MrBeast. Not the app, not burgers, not chocolate, not Lunchly, not Beast Games. Individually, every incident can be explained, but repetition changes how people interpret everything. Because now, audiences expect cracks before launches even begin.